you care about. WLBB, Carrollton, News Talk 1330, FM 106.3.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice program here on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3. I'm your host, Colin Worthington. We're about right at a month away from Election Day. Numerous municipal elections in the city of Carrollton, also in the city of Villa Rica. You've noticed the last couple of weeks had some guests on that were running for these seats here locally, and today we continue that trend. We have one of three candidates running for the Ward-4 City Council seat to replace Matt Lane. Lane announcing about 2 months ago that he would not seek re-election this year, so a new Ward-4 will have a new representative beginning in January. It'll either be Bob Uglum, Chris Marlowe, or this gentleman who's with us this morning. You can already see him on the News Talk 1330 Facebook page. His name is Jason Westbrook. Hope to get to know him this morning in the next 28 minutes. So, hey, Jason, thank you for coming in. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, tell us who you are. If I'm walking up to you and you need to give me a good explanation of who you are and what you're about, lay it on me.
Jason Westbrook, lifelong Carroll County resident. Attended the Carrollton City School System. Graduated in '97. Really got interested in, I guess, politics and Trenton North's Georgia Studies class back in junior high. So he kind of inspired me, and I've always wanted to participate in politics. And I figured at the city level, I could have an impact and get to know people, and really see their needs and kind of take kind of fill them out and see what they want and their needs and desires, and also was in public safety for about close to 18 years, firefighter. I actually worked here in the city of Carrollton and most recently with Cobb County Fire. Right now I'm employed at Tanner Health System here in town. So live, work, play here. Got married with two boys, both involved in Carrollton City School System and Carrollton Rec Department and activities. So that's kind of me.
This may be part of your platform, where I'm going to go with this question, but it definitely sprung something. You mentioned you most recently worked with Cobb County Fire. Over the last year, we were talking about how firefighters are leaving Carrollton or Carroll County because of pay and getting paid better elsewhere, taking their education and going elsewhere for better pay. Is that kind of how you ended up in Cobb County?
Yeah, there were some that had a lot to do with it. Obviously, pay. The pay is more. They pay for they're high on education there, and you get incentive pay for your education. And I have a undergrad and a master's degree, so I got compensated for that pretty well. It's obviously a metro department, quite busy, a little more progressive. So I got a lot of different perspectives on things, different mindsets than out here in the city of Carrollton. Nothing negative, just different mindset and different ideas. So it was an experience for sure, but at the end of the day, wanted to be closer to home, and I wanted to pretty much pursue this opportunity. But yes, it did have a lot to do with pay, which kind of can jump into my platform of my number one priority being public safety.
Well, good. We Carrollton City did a comparison study as far as pay rates for, I think, all the jobs. It wasn't just for public safety. Where does that stand right now? How are you understanding where that sits right now?
I know that they've given them a small portion of a raise, and there's other, they've talked about doing more, but I think a lot of it has to do with the raising taxes aspect. I don't think there's a whole lot more they can do at this time. But I think there's other incentives possibly for pay that, wouldn't be a constant coming out of the budget type deal. If let's say if they're paying for education, they don't give any money for a college degree or anything like that, or a certification pay. I think that situations like that might be a better draw for some people, might be a reason to encourage people to better themselves, possibly get that education, which in turn would benefit the city. So I think they've kind of researched, and they kind of found that they're on the same level as a lot of cities, if not more, for sure in this area as far as pay. But there needs to be some improvements to maintain quality employees and, long-standing employees versus just bringing in new guys off the street, because you need that experience in the fire department.
Jason Westbrook, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, one of three candidates running for Carrollton City Council representing Ward 4. Questions and comments, encourage you to post them up on the News Talk 1330 Facebook page this morning, where we are streaming live. We'll take a peek at those during our break here in about 5 minutes. You mentioned always interested in politics. Have you do you attend meetings? Do you talk a lot with Met Lane, who's the current representative for Ward 4? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I talk to a lot of people constantly, a lot of city employees of the city I'm friends with and worked alongside. I communicate with them a lot, and I've talked to Met a few times. I've had concerns in the past. I've voiced them to him, and he's very receptive about them. So I haven't had a chance to physically attend a lot of meetings, but the internet helps that, so I can watch most all the council meetings online and kind of read about everything, what everybody's saying in the paper, on the news. But yeah, I attend as much as I can. If not, I utilize internet for it.
Joel Brock, the gentleman who's behind the cameras this morning for us, does that for the city of Carrollton. So
Thank you,
plug for Joel Brock there. Would you have sought out this seat if Met did not decide not to seek re-election?
Well, I'd seriously considered it, and honestly, the day I went to meet with Matt to discuss with him his future aspirations was the day he made it known he wasn't going to run for re-election. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't think Matt's done a bad job. I think he's done a great job. Like I said, when I've needed him and called him, he's called me back. We've discussed things face to face. So it's hard to say. It's like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I possibly, if he had run for re-election, I probably would have waited and just kind of saw what his future desires were if he was going to continue, and then ponder that well. But it's hard to say. But just things kind of worked out because he said he wasn't running for re-election. So I was like, well, gives me the great opportunity here.
Well, I don't know if the public safety finances was the first thing on your platform, but what other things? Maybe I dove in the middle there with that one.
Yeah, public safety, the number one, obviously. I kind of want to keep that on the forefront if elected, as far as pay, progression, as far as facilities, equipment, not just for fire department, police as well. Kind of second is more of the managed growth aspect, which kind of encompasses all the housing discussion. I'm really big on taking a step back before we start expanding city. We have to expand city services. We need to update our infrastructure. I think that all kind of encompasses the managed growth, because if we're going to add subdivisions in downtown, if we're going to add apartment complexes, well, we have aging sewer and water system, those type situations. I want to make sure we're on the forefront of those. We're not working from behind, improving those. So that managed growth is kind of my secondary, which I guess could encompass the Bankhead project. And I'm kind of very pro a Maple Street project as well, secondary, which I know that's in the works, but I kind of want to push that ahead and have plans in place. And the third is just I want transparent leadership with the city. I want it very clear what we're doing, nothing that just comes out and says this is what we're doing. I want a lot of input from the citizens. They have a lot of input, in the meetings, obviously. But, just one-on-one, face-to-face, like, hey, you got a question, this is what we're doing, this is why. Or if we're not doing it, why are we not? I just want to be very transparent. Nothing behind closed doors that doesn't need to be.
Being a representative for the constituents in Ward 4, and you talk about you want to be a voice for them, how would you deal with a constituent if there was a decision you're going to make, an important decision for the city, and you're going to vote? How would you deal with them if you believe 100% wholeheartely that you're right in this decision, but yet they have a different perspective and they're urging you not to
well,
vote?
I mean, that definitely would be, could be a tough decision, but at the end of the day, I'm their representative, and I would definitely have, not just one or two people discuss it. I'd discuss it with a whole portion and see what the majority would want. And at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the majority of my constituents. I mean, there's certain moral and ethical beliefs I have at the end of the day that, if it came to that, then I'd have to make my strong decision. But as far as the well-being of the city and city decisions, I definitely, the Ward 4 constituents, they would have my support, and we would discuss it before I were to say yay or nay to a decision.
Jason Westbrook, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program, one of three candidates running for the Ward 4 City Council seat. Before we take our first break, you did mention the beautification project. You mentioned Maple Street and Bankhead Highway. A little going back and forth as far as if this is the right time to do it. Right now, there's concerns that we're pulling $2 million out of reserves. How do you feel about that?
My thoughts are, I look at the city of Carrollton as they have a lot of great things going on, but I do think beautifying and attracting general appearance of the city needs some help, especially like been decided on the Bankhead. And it's just a tough decision. I mean, the pretty much decision's already been made, but I'm for it because I think we need that beautification aspect, that uniformity that looks nice driving through here. We don't have, like on Bankhead, we go to 4 to 3 lanes, and then it's a difference. I think a uniformity would look better, and I think, obviously pulling out of reserves is a tough question at this time, but I also think with the millage rate discussion and bringing in some more money to kind of beef that up, I think it kind of works out at the right time for it. But yeah, I'm for it. And, yet again, it's a tough decision, and, the city council, and they've already kind of made the decision before I'm around, before, I would be on the board. But, yeah, I'm for it. And I think, it's a tough decision, but at the end of the day, I'm looking for the managed growth aspect and beautifying the city some more.
841, Jason Westbrook, again, one of 3 candidates for the Carrollton City Council Ward-4 seat, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. And if you have any questions or comments, you can call us at 678-601-8255, 678-601-TALK, or you can post the questions or comments on the News Talk 1330 Facebook page, where we are streaming live this morning, thanks to the fine camera work of Joel Brock. Luke Luker pressing the buttons for us this morning in the studio. We'll take our first break, come back with more Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
At Oak Mountain Academy, our daily schedule includes convocation, prayer, and the Pledge of Allegiance. By doing so, we build a family-like community where all students grow and flourish, and personal faith is encouraged. Through community service and a historical approach to biblical study, our students are taught the value of the warrior way: honesty, respect, and responsibility. Oak Mountain Academy. We are a family creating legacies. To learn more, visit oakmountain.us.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama, because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org. or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
(842) and welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3. And this morning we are streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. I'm Colin Worthington. Sitting across the table is Jason Westbrook. He is one of 3 candidates running for the Ward 4 City Council seat. They want to replace Matt Lane, who announced a couple months back that he will not seek re-election this year. Election day is November the 5th, Tuesday. You'll have 3 weeks before that to cast early ballots, and we will keep you posted on all the Fine Grady Communications radio stations to let you know when early voting is going on. Have several races in Carrollton, number of races in Villa Rica. We have a Bowden this year. Temple, Luke, we got anything up in Temple this year? Or we have one race in Temple at least? Yeah, okay, yeah. So, a lot of municipalities with races going on in the coming month. Yeah, just a little bit more than a month. Thinking back some questions here for Jason. Should Carrollton City Council and Mayor, should they be open to making donations to nonprofits out of the budget each year?
Well, that's kind of gray area as far as the financial aspect. I think that I say yes and no. I say it has to be very sure about who we're donating to. I think more in part we should be partnering, maybe, encouraging people to go these routes. I don't necessarily know about the financial aspects of that as far as rules and regulations. I haven't delved that much into it. I think that if at all possible, any kind of financial assistance to them would be beneficial. Obviously, I don't know how much or exactly which one you would start with. I mean, there's several out there that do great work in the city. The Open Hands, working their ministry with assisting people and those type things are very popular here in town. And I think that more along the lines of just support, voicing, participating, encouraging. We get a lot of questions at the forum. We got a question about the homeless problem in Carrollton as far as tent cities and so forth. And I think some of these nonprofits could be very beneficial in assisting with those type situations. Maybe people are having a tough time and they need kind of a bridge to get them to the next level. I think the city really encouraging those, not really creating new programs for the homeless issues or that might arise, but encouraging to utilize some of these nonprofits that are around town. So, honestly, I'd have to see and see what, as far as what we can and cannot give to nonprofits as far as, situations like that. But I do think supporting them, in a public setting and encouraging usage of them.
We had a guest on last week, and she alluded to talking about the beautification projects. Once it gets up towards Maple Street, she thought maybe we could talk with University of West Georgia about contributing to beautification project over there. Do you see a possibility of communication? Do you think that UWG has a responsibility when we talk about those kind of things, the beautification project, and maybe with crime? I mean, I think there's a partnership that began about 2 years ago between Carroll County Sheriff's Office, Carrollton Police, and UWG. I'm not really sure what the results of that were, but I mean, should they take more responsibility for those kind of things? I think
it'd be a great idea to partner with them in some aspect. Obviously, I think it would benefit them as far as the Maple Street plan. I would enjoy to see, because I really think from the University of West Georgia to City Station right there, the bypass, I think that's very they've done a great job as far as the beautifying of that area, but I think pretty much from there to 27 needs some work. And I think that people coming in off 27, coming up Maple Street to the college, beautifying that would be very beneficial, or changing some of the facilities on there, kind of giving it more of a uniformity look, similar to what the college has out front, because they've done a great job. And I think by them participating in some way, shape, or form with that would be beneficial. I'd be willing to discuss it with them, as far as financial contributions, because I think that would, like I said, benefit them as far as prospective students, prospective, family members driving into town. And I think, a lot of good partnerships with a lot of our, biggest entities in Carrollton would be beneficial. And obviously, West Georgia is one of the biggest, and, they bring a lot into the city. So I think partnering them with that would be very beneficial.
So we have 4 developers all after the same piece of property in Carrollton. So we have one where they could develop it. It could be student housing, commercial, multifamily housing. Who would you be more open to approving a rezoning for that property?
Well, I would, look at the needs exactly, look at what our needs are at that time, what proposed plans are.
If it happened in 2 months from now, I mean, what do you think our need is as far as housing?
Well, I think definitely there's, we talk about the need for affordable housing, but I also mentioned people's definition of affordable housing is different. Mine's different than yours versus other people's. If it happened in the future, I would say definitely I'm more along the lines of rehabbing older houses versus putting up subdivisions, because I think it takes away from the look of the city. I think, getting close to downtown, you have the nice older homes and so forth that people are rehabbing, especially on my street. So I'm not, not saying I wouldn't approve a subdivision. I would look at the needs in the area. Is it in the affordable housing range, whatever's determined to be that in that specific area? And I mean, not without a doubt, I'd speak with the constituents in my ward and see what their thoughts and feelings are on it, especially if this development was going in on that side of town. So they'd have a big say in it. And like I went back to my managed growth priority, I'd look at our resources, because the more you build, the more you're going to have to increase water, sewer, trash, police, fire. You increase all the needs, and are we prepared for that? Just approving a piece of property to be developed, it's not just what's going up and what you see above ground. It's what's underground. It's what's coming to assist for security purposes. And so encompasses a whole lot. So I'd want to know that, what's the increase would be as far as, it's just a lot of questions. I wouldn't be quick to make a decision at all, for sure.
What's the department that maybe you're most confident in right now in the city of Carrollton? Is it water? maybe the infrastructure. What are you most confident with?
Definitely, on my side of town, I live on Longview Street. A lot of old houses, a lot of old underground plumbing, and actually down the street beside my house, they've been working on a water line replacement, and they've been locating some cutoffs that were put in late 40s, 50s, way back. So, they're actively working day in and day out, it seems. So I have a lot of respect for those guys. I have a lot of confidence in them because they're working day in and day out. I see them visibly, and I talk to them. I'll stop and ask them, hey, what are y'all working on? What are y'all doing? And very informative. And, I mean, without a doubt.
Tommy Holland guy's probably out there, right?
Exactly.
Smart cat.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, they're constantly working, replacing water lines, fire hydrants, all that aspect that need to be updated, which it just takes a while. It's not a quick fix, but they're actively working on it. But I have a lot of confidence in our public safety as well. I mean, I think fire department does a great job working there. I know a lot of the guys. I know response times, how they are. They handle the situations, and without doubt, police department. I mean, I know a lot of them personally, and I see them out around town, very friendly. I have a lot of personal friends that work there, and they just love the job, and they love protecting the citizens. They love to get out and about, and especially seeing them on the green belt. I really like to see that aspect of them. So it's hard to pick one but I am looking and seeing who's out and about, and I mean, they're all doing a great job. But like I said, the water department, they're working hard, and you just see little projects here and there they're doing, and when problems arise, they jump on them.
Going to take our third break here in just a second. Before we do, where do you hang out in Carrollton? What are your favorite places to be, where there's to eat or read or walk?
Yeah, well, I really enjoy the Greenbelt. I ride a bike. My running days are over, so I enjoy to ride the Greenbelt. I think that's a great way to see the entire city because it just goes around. You see all different areas. My family, we love the square. That's why one reason we chose to live close to downtown on Longview, because we can walk up to the square. We move around to different restaurants because we like it all, and spend a lot of time over the city schools, the rec department. One of my sons plays baseball, so we're at a lot of games. We support Carrollton Athletics. We're over there a lot. My son's in the band, so we spend a lot of time with our kids. But yeah, we like staying here in town in the square. We just seeing that grow over the years, the amp and everything. I mean, that's our go-to whenever we go out to eat or Friday, Saturday night.
Can't wait till I ask a candidate that question. They're like, "Oh, I don't go here. I go to Atlanta. I spend all my time in restaurants in Atlanta and the pubs." But 8:53. Jason Westbrook, our guest on this morning's Community Voice program. One of three candidates vying for the soon-to-be vacant seat. Matt Lane. He'll serve out the rest of his term through December, but it's not going to seek re-election. Jason is one of three candidates. Chris Marlowe, Bob Uglum, the other candidates. Chris was on the program Monday, so if you missed that show, it's on our website now at newstalk1330.com. You can dig that up on our podcast. And when the show is finished today with Jason, that'll be in podcast form as well. Still got to book Bob for the program. We did have him scheduled, but had a conflict, so we're going to try and bring him on in the next couple of weeks as well. Right now, it is 8:53. We'll come back with about 5 minutes left with Jason, Community Voice, brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy on News Talk 1330, FM 106.3, and streaming live on the newstalk1330.com website.
At Tanner, we're advancing health throughout West Georgia and East Alabama because we know that exceptional care isn't based on how many patients we serve, but how well we serve them. That's why we're focused on quality, delivering the best possible care for our patients. It's why we're expanding our clinical services and building new facilities to serve our growing community. And it's why we're looking beyond our hospitals and medical practices to develop sustainable wellness and preventive health programs in our region. What makes a hospital great has changed. It's not how many beds we have. It's how well we care for the neighbors who need them. Delivering the right care to every patient, every time, is how Tanner is advancing health with medicine beyond measure. Learn more at tanner.org. or find a physician on our medical staff by calling 770-214-CARE.
Oak Mountain Academy has offered a challenging college preparatory education for over 50 years. With over 500 graduates, we have maintained a 100% college acceptance rate. Over 90% of our students earn acceptance to their first choice of college or university, and over the past 5 years, our students have earned over $10 million in scholarship offers. Our students are creating a legacy. Come, be a part of our family and create your own legacy today. To learn more, visit us at oakmountain.us.
8:55. Welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice program. News Talk 1330, FM 106.3 in this morning, streaming live on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Appreciate all of you checking in. Even David Weiner, he commented there. Apparently, we asked you a question, and you gave a good answer, good common sense answer. Said David, we'll have to go back and check that out in just a little bit. Each ward in Carrollton, even though it's not a gigantic city, I suspect there are some differences in each ward, maybe with the population, in businesses. What sticks out to you about Ward 4 as far as maybe what you have to pay attention to more? Maybe the demographics, age?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, obviously in our ward we have Sunset Hills, have Heritage Hills, have those large communities, a lot of different size families. We have kind of the Longview, South Street over in that area, and you got a little bit of everything as far as me being out and about and I have a lot of friends that live in all these areas and been on their streets and in their homes, and of course we got a portion of the college, which, that age bracket's all over the place, which is great. But, I think, the increasing senior population in the city as far as just and everywhere is increasing. So I look at that being somewhat of a need. Some of the future seniors, what their desires are as far as possibly moving out of their homes, moving into, senior living facilities that might be more accommodating to their life in general at that point, utilization of the senior center. I think those are issues that need to be addressed and need to be planned for, not reacted to. I think the North Winds development on Highway 113 past Carroll EMC, I think that's a great idea, because you're building living for 55 plus, a large facility with a lot of less maintenance for somebody to have to deal with in their homes. And I think, talking to the people on my side of town, what are their thoughts on those, as far as developing those? Because I think they're a need. We need to know exactly how we can construct them efficiently for the needs of the city, as far as, and I'll go back to it, the infrastructure that can support those. And of course the senior center in here in town, I think they do a great job. I was over there a few times when I worked at the fire department at different functions, and those people have a great time. And I think possibly looking to expand that facility down the road might be beneficial, just, more activities, which, obviously that will encompass funding, and we've got to find the best ways to fund that. So I think, just trying to get out and see exactly the specific demographics. Like you said, I know it's a mix, but, everybody's getting older.
Got true story. Got less than 2 minutes here. Now, if somebody bumps into you on the street, you have 1 minute to tell them what's the most important thing to tell them about you that you hope that they'll consider in your favor to vote for you.
Well, I love the city of Carrollton, without a doubt. I love it. My wife and I are doing some renovations to our home. We're staying here. We realize we're never going to be able to build a house anywhere, so we're going to stay here. Going to be here. Kind of changed my career for a job that's here in town, so I can be here. I can be available. My schedule is very flexible. When you need me, I'll call you back. I'll be at the meetings. And I think I have a different mindset. I spent almost around 18 years in public safety, from volunteer firefighting all the way to career. And, serving people is a passion for me. And I just want to continue to serve. And I think this capacity offers me a different perspective. But it also allows me to serve the members of my ward, and as well as the entire city of Carrollton. And I just think, you vote for me, you're going to get a different perspective. You're going to get somebody that was behind the scenes. And now I would like to be, up front pushing for some of these issues and situation I've seen that need to be brought to the forefront. Public safety, as I mentioned, is my priority. So want to keep that at the top.
Jason Westbrook, one of 3 candidates running for the Ward 4 City Council seat here in the city of Carrollton. Good to meet you. Glad to have you on the program
Thanks,
this
sir.
morning. I appreciate everybody tuning in on the radio on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, and, of course, the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. Tomorrow, I think Josh Ingles back in this seat and has a pretty interesting guest. Hadn't confirmed that yet, but that might be a show you want to pay attention to tomorrow at 8:30 on Community Voice. Have a great Wednesday, everybody.